this down on the table. Okay. Let me see if I can rotate this. Rotate the device back. Okay, so I can't change the orientation. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, everybody, sorry. I was trying to adjust the camera angle so that you could see more of my table, but it's not, it's telling me that I can't do that. I have to rotate it back. So we'll leave it at this and we'll make it work. I'll just make sure that I stay here within the screen. If you are joining me, make sure that you say hello when you come in so I know that you are here. I am a little bit early, so I want to wait a few minutes before I get started. So if you guys will just hang with me, I will appreciate it. We're going to make a candy cane mailbox swag. And this mailbox swag can be used multiple ways. It can be used, you can use this design and the techniques that I'm going to teach to make a garland of any length. I use it to make countertop runners, decorations that I display across my countertop. They can be used for your window sills, fireplace mantle. Trying to think of all the different ways that you can use. I guess just whatever your imagination allows. Hi guys, thanks for joining me. Make sure you say hi in the chat so that I know you're here. This is Karla with Karla's Clever Crafts. We're getting pretty close to 7 o'clock, which is when I was supposed to go live. I logged on a little bit early just to give me time to check my camera angle and get my chat pulled up. Hi, Shadows End. How are you? Thank you so much for saying hello. Makes it so much easier for me when I'm live if people chat. If not, I just run through the tutorial and we get it done. This should be fun tonight. I was originally going to do a Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween decoration, but I had some orders from a person in Ireland through my Etsy shop, and they ordered this candy cane mailbox swag. So I always prioritize my orders, and I really wanted to get this on its way because it's traveling so far. So I decided to switch it up and do this tonight. I'm still going to try to do the Halloween design. I may just do it as a tutorial instead of a live. I'm not sure yet. Okay, we got just a couple minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and just start talking about what I'm going to use. This is an Ashland 9-foot garland, greenery garland. Hi, Astro. How are you? I ordered this from Michael's. When I originally started making these, I used to get the garlands from Walmart. Theirs is a little bit cheaper, maybe like 50 cents or so at that time, which has been a few years now. I'm not sure what the price difference now would be. But the Walmart version sheds the pine needles very badly. And that was a problem for me, for my customers. It was very messy. So I started looking for a better alternative, and I found this greenery. Let's see, regular price when I bought this last year was $5.99. If you watch for Michael's sale, you can get this at a discount, 40% off, I think is what I got. So it ends up being less than $4 for a 9-foot piece. And then what I do with this, and what I'm going to do tonight, is I cut it down to the length that I need for whatever decor I'm making. So in this case, I'm doing a mailbox swag. I'm going to cut this down to a 2-foot section. Okay, we're also going to use white, just plain white poly deco mesh that I get from craftoutlet.com. Very economical. I think it's around $3.95 a roll now. So that's what we're going to use to start our base. And then we have 3 different ribbons that we're going to use. I have this 3.5 inch very beautiful red with like a snowflake design. It's like a velvety ribbon, and I got this at Walmart. It's Holiday Time brand, 3.5 inches wide, and you get 30 foot for $8. So that's not too bad. And they sell this in different colors too, which I try to stock up on these because it's a nice size to use down the center of what we're going to be making tonight. You can also use, they make 4 inch wide, 4.5 inch, 5 inch, and Craft Outlet carries some of the wider ribbons if you wanted to also check there. But I do try to get these at Walmart. I just really like the designs that they have available each year during the holiday season. Okay, and then we're going to also use, this is a red velvet ribbon. This ribbon came from Sam's Club. However, I have just a little bit of it left because last year I decided I didn't like the quality as much. I mean, it's fairly decent quality, but if you buy the red velvet ribbon from Craft Outlet, this was $8 for a 50-yard roll at Sam's Club. It's quite more expensive at Craft Outlet. I think it's around $20 a roll, but the quality is better. Okay, so I kind of switched from the Sam's Club. Plus, it's hard to find the same ribbon from year to year at Sam's Club because they change up what they offer each year. And then this candy cane ribbon also came from Sam's Club. CraftOutlet.com has the exact same ribbon for the candy cane as well. It's got like this pretty iridescent white, which kind of reminds me of like a snow, like shimmering snow. And so we're going to use that. So let's go ahead and get started. We're also going to add some ornaments and other things when we get to that point. I'll show you those items. I have a partial roll. I am going to start with that because I think it's going to be enough. We're only doing a 2-foot section because we're making this one specifically to be a mailbox swag. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to try to find the beginning of this and open it up. You guys make sure you say hi when you come in so that I know you're here. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments and I'll answer them as we go. Okay, so when I measure my 2 feet, I always start with the wire, the end of the wire here, if you can see that, and then measure from that point out to 2 feet. So we need 24 inches, which my mat just so happens to be 24 inches. So I'm going to put the tip of that there and then just pull this out straight across until I get to the end. Separate these pine needles, and then I'm just going to cut right here in the middle using my wire cutters. It's pretty easy to cut. You can see I just have a standard size basic wire cutter. And then I always like to take this cut piece of wire and just curl that down. So that way I don't poke myself later. And it also secures it and keeps your pine branch needles from slipping off. Okay, so that's the rest of that. And I'll just continue to use from this when I'm making different things that I sell in my shop. But for this project, we just need this short little piece. And while we're only doing this 2-piece section tonight, remember, you could use the same, every technique that I show you, you could have done on that full 9-foot garland without cutting it and made a 9-foot garland. Or you can make a 6-foot garland, 3-foot, 4-foot, whatever measurements you need for your door, your windows, or wherever you plan to use it. Try to make, there we go, squeeze that down real good. Okay, then the next thing that I do is I like to spread out the branches. So these branches literally are just fed through, it's like one long branch fed through the wire halfway. So you've got half on one side, half on the other side. So I just try to lay this out, flatten it as I go, and just spread those branches out straight across from each other. So that's my first step. and straightening that middle wire as I go. Hi, Miss Shannon. How are you? Hi, Noella. How are you? Thank you guys so much for watching. Everybody remember to say hi to me. If you have any questions, please ask. I had some questions from some people a couple weeks ago about the mailbox swag, so I thought this would be good since I have orders for it. I can go ahead and do a tutorial that I can refer people to and also get my orders done all in one shot. So that was the reason for changing the design. So if anybody was expecting that Nightmare Before Christmas, I do apologize, and I am still going to do it. It will probably be as a tutorial instead of a live because I don't want to make you guys wait another whole week. I'll probably do a tutorial for this week. I'm running way behind on Halloween. I still have 4 more designs I wanted to do for Halloween. So I don't know if I'll get to all of them. I hope so though, because they were really some kind of unique, fun ones. Okay, so basically all I have done is just flatten out our garland. And remember, you can do this. We're doing 2 feet because we're making a mailbox swag. But you can make this any length you want and use this same process, okay? So once I have it flattened, my next step is to add my mesh. You were sitting on your sister's couch and Hallmark is on. That is so perfect. I love Hallmark. Anybody else Hallmark fans? Okay, so this is white poly mesh, poly deco mesh. Again, from Craft Outlet. And I'm just going to open my roll, take my end with the curl side down, and then I just twist, because we're going to be making poofs. And this is just how I do mine. I roll these ends in all the way till they meet, and then just pinch this together. Okay, we're going to attach this first end at the beginning of our swag. Trying to make sure I stay in the frame so you guys can see. I tried to turn the camera, but it said no, you can't do that. Okay, so just putting it between the pine needles and giving the pine needles one good twist while I'm pulling that tight, okay? I only twist once, and you'll see why here in a little bit, because we're going to add more stuff in as we go. Okay. So next step, in order to make sure that I have my poofs even, I count my branches. So I've attached in this first one. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to attach right here in this 5th one. So right here in the middle of the 5th one. Okay, so my poofs, I like to make them 10 inches. So I'm going to start measuring right there at the 8, come over to 18, and then just pull that back and put it right down in that 5th branch. Easy enough, right? Pull it tight and twist. Okay, and I'm just going to keep repeating that. I'm at 10, I need to go to 20. Let's see. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you mess up in your counting, it's not a real big deal, but you want to try to keep your poofs the same size and the same distance apart. So that's the reason I came up with that little counting technique. It just helps me to keep it even. And as you can see, this is not going to use a whole lot of mesh. Even when you do like a full 9-foot or 12-foot garland, you will use less than a roll of mesh doing this. Now we're going to also add some cruffles, but we're still going to use very minimal mesh. Okay, and here, 1, 2, 3, I only have 4 pine needles left, but that's okay. I'm going to do the same size hoop and just go to the end, okay? I hardly ever use my cutting mat. I usually have a piece of cardboard just because I can see it easier than I can see the cutting mat. Okay. Again, just pull it tight and give it one good twist. And now we're just going to cut this off and leave about 1.5 to 2 inch tail so it doesn't pull back through our pine needles here where we've attached it. Okay, and then I am finished with this roll, but that's only because I've already pre-cut the mesh for our curls. Now you could go and open up all of your poofs and spread them all out here if you want to. I usually don't. I usually wait because you're going to see why when I'm adding all this other stuff in. I'm just going to mash these back down again anyway. And you can also, I wanted to mention, I made this original design on a green garland. You could also use white, and I think white would be really pretty with this candy cane design. And you have a huge cutting mat now, and it's ridiculous how happy it makes you. That, yeah, I would love to upgrade mine, Shannon. I bet that is nice. I also need to pay attention to, because my eyes are terrible anymore, one that I can see on better. Okay, so this is the exact same mesh. I've just pre-cut them to about 8 inches wide. So it's 10-inch mesh. I cut them to about 8 inches. You could probably do 6. You could do 10. All we're going to do is just make curls. And if you've never made a curl before, what that means is that you're just going to fold over the edge and just roll it. You're just going to keep rolling. Simple as that until you get to the other edge. When you put it in, keep your cut edge face down if you can. And I'm going to start again right here at the beginning. And I'm going to actually, I want my branches facing this way so I can lay this straight down in. Try to center it. And we're going to do the same thing. Pull it tight and give it a twist. Okay. And you are going to want your branches to end up like in a V shape, like facing a V, facing towards you, because we're going to come back and add ribbons to most of these. Okay, so we'll do another curl, and each of these attachment points is where we're going to put our curls. Just fold it over, roll it. You can make big curls, little curls, medium curls. I usually do like a medium size. For my garlands. You've never done anything like, oh, you have to try. They're so fun. And they're so versatile, Shannon. You can do anything with these. Once you just learn this pattern, which is all this is basically just making a pattern, you can make these as big, long, short. You can make anything with these. You can literally decorate just about anything. My favorite thing to do is to make a countertop display using these for my own house. And I would just measure the length of my countertop, which I don't have anymore, but that's another story. And then create a design that would fit the length of my countertop, kind of like a table runner. You can do the same thing for a table centerpiece with these. I do make centerpieces with them. You can do anything. Your windows, your door. Okay, so let me grab a couple more curls. 1, 2, we need 3 more. So we're going to do 5 curls total. See how easy that is? And it goes so fast because when you do the poofs, you're taking up a whole section of the design pretty quickly. I love making this stuff, especially, I primarily only do it for the holidays. So like the Christmas season, winter, they're really big for winter. Okay. 1 more there. And so easy. If you've never made anything like this before, it is so easy. I think these are easier than wreaths. Yeah, they are cool for a table runner. And they also make very nice gifts. Yeah. Pretty economical. Okay, so we need 1 more on the end here. We're going to put bows on each end of this, great big bows. And so I like to have this little curl on the end because it helps support the bow and give it life. So you're not going to see much of this curl on the end when we're done, but it does serve a purpose. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to add ribbons. My ribbons are all pre-measured to 12 inches long. And I do not put ribbons on the end because that's where our bows are going to go. So we have 3 sections in the middle of our mailbox swag. So we're going to need 3 ribbon sets. Real easy, right? Okay, so 1, 2, I'm just going to pull 3 off of here because I have this measured a lot longer. And we're going to use some of it to make a bow. We are going to make the bows tonight too. Okay, and I'm just putting it back at where my folds were, so I know what where my 12-inch length is. So these are 2.5-inch ribbons cut to 12 inches long. I'm just going to dovetail the ends real quick. You don't have to dovetail, but you can if you want to. Some of my garlands I do, some of them I don't. Just depends really on my mood, not much else. You know, you need all the help with bows that you can get. Shannon, you say that, but I've seen your bows. They're beautiful. It's not help with your bows you need. It's confidence and belief in your bow making skill. Okay, 1, 2, 3 again. Okay, so we're going to use 3 of the candy cane and 3 of the red velvet. And you could also use a different red if you prefer. Like if you wanted a glittery red to match the glistening and the candy cane pattern, that would be pretty. Probably the reason mine has red velvet is because that's what I had on hand and needed a use for it. And so now that design was popular and I've just carried it forward. I do sell quite a bit of this candy cane. It's not as popular as my snowman design that I talk about all the time. But this one is very popular in the holidays too. Okay, so now we have dovetailed these. Simple enough. We're going to just make our small X. If you've watched my videos before, you know kind of how I do my ribbons most of the time. So we're going to make a small X. I put the candy cane on top and just scrunch in the middle. Pinch the 2 sides together so you have basically like what is an X. Then put it straight down in our first set of pine needles. I always want to say pipe cleaner. Okay. Pull tight and give it a good twist. And I twist all the way around here. I think I'm doing like 1.5 full twists. Okay, and then make sure your ribbons are facing and laying the way, you know, pointing in the direction that you want. And then I just take and push these 2 sides down, and then I press down on the center of this really hard, which this part's a little challenging. Use those muscles. And then I just curl the edges of my ribbons under. And this is going to become where we add our ornaments and things in a little bit. Oh, you guys, I skipped a whole step. Undo. Undo, undo. Sorry. Hold on. Glad I realized before I got finished and shut off the video. Across the middle, we need to do the candy cane ribbon because we don't want these big white sections in the middle with nothing in them. So let me fix my pine needles, not V'd toward me, but V'd towards each other, running the length of the design. And then we're going to take this piece of candy cane. We're going to start at the very end. So we're just going to scrunch this up, kind of like we did our mesh, leaving a little bit of a tail there. And place it down inside of the very end pine needles. Now, with this one, we'll go ahead and twist it and then press it down. So pressing down on each side, pressing down in the middle. Okay. And then here, I don't measure. I kind of just let my poof underneath be my guide. So pinch the two sides of the ribbon together like that. And then just kind of scrunch it and put it down in your next set. So you want this ribbon to just kind of loop over top of this poof. Hope that makes sense and hope I didn't confuse anybody by my almost big mistake. Okay, and now I'm just twisting like a half a twist so that it's V'd towards me, because then we're going to come back and add the ribbons. So again, just fold. Once you get the measurement point where you want it, fold it in half, pinch it, lay it down in your pine needles. Make sure it's where you want it. That looks good. Pull and twist. Now remember, we closed off this end one, but we're not closing off these just yet because we got to come back and add more ribbon. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, and now I'm at the end, so I'm just going to do the same thing. Eyeball it, fold it in half, pinch it, press it down in, pull and twist so you're getting that really tight. I give it an extra twist because I'm going to close the end off now. Remember, that's where our bow is going to go. Pressing that down just holds your ribbon and mesh and everything really secure. It makes it tight so that things don't come loose and fall out. Pretty nice because you don't have to then use glue or anything like that. Okay, now we can do the step that I had already skipped ahead to. Doesn't the bow go where? Yes, the bow does go here, Shannon. But I'll show you how I attach that using separate pipe cleaners because I don't want to. I want to wrap around above this curl and where I've closed everything off. So I'll show you guys that when I get to that point. This is where it's going to go, but I don't use the pine needles to hold it in place. I'll show you why when we get done. Or not done, when we get to that point. And as you guys can see, I'm getting some mess here from this garland from Michaels. All of them have some shedding. It's inevitable. It's just like when you pull your Christmas tree out every year. But you will have significantly less shedding than I was getting with the Walmart ones. I have not used the Walmart ones for a few years. So I don't want to unfairly criticize Walmart's garlands. Maybe they've improved their quality. I'm not sure. I just found that Michaels worked well for me. Michaels was working well for my customers based on the feedback that I got, so I stuck with it. Okay. And the price is relatively, there's hardly any price difference if you just wait for the sale. Okay, so again, we're going to make our X. I put my candy cane ribbon on top, my red velvet on the bottom, scrunch in the middle, pinch the two sides together. Now we're ready. Doesn't that look so much better, you guys? Than those big white spots. Okay. Now, pinching the ends down on each side, and then I'm just going to press down in the middle. Isn't that so pretty? I just love these things. I'm getting excited for the holidays now. I've had some orders, so I've been making holiday things, and it's really gotten me into the spirit. But now I'm struggling to find time to finish up my Halloween that I wanted to do because I had some really good ideas. Oh, it looks like I cut this ribbon too short, but it is still going to be okay. Okay, so this candy cane one I cut a little bit too short. Looks like about an inch off. Or maybe the other one is too long. I'm not sure which. I get that question a lot about mesh and ribbons. Like, how long did you cut the mesh? How long did you cut your ribbons? Really, you don't have to have a mechanical formula to get the same design. Most of my designs, my mesh pieces are 18 inches and my ribbons are 12 inches. But you can make a design with 11-inch ribbons and 20-inch mesh, and it's still gonna work out very well for you. It's not really about some type of mechanical formula or recipe. It's what is appealing to your eye. So if you don't have the exact same measurements that somebody else used when you're recreating a design, it's okay. You're still gonna turn out. Okay, so we got one more. I'm going to go ahead and get my glue gun warming up. Now, this is important for how I attach my ornaments and stuff. You could use these little pine branches, feed them through the little hooks, and attach them that way. I don't do that. But that is an idea if you wanted to do that. If you do that, I would suggest that you glue those little, I'll show you when I get to an ornament. The little piece that has the hole in it, if you're going to do it that way, I suggest you glue that on. Because those ornaments can come out of those. And then you would have the little piece attached to your pine branch, but would lose your ornament. Instead, I glue all mine. If you've watched my videos, I'm sorry that you've heard this before, so I'm going to say it again, because it is very important for these garlands and things if you do make these. I only use Aztec glue. Lots of people use Gorilla Glue, and I have heard nothing but like positive things from other crafters about Gorilla Glue. I personally never tried Gorilla Glue because Aztec worked for me. I started with it, I stuck with it. If I find something, I guess I was always taught if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I have just stuck with that. I buy it on Amazon and I buy it in bulk. You can also find it like on HomeDepot.com. It's more like a industrial strength hot glue, and I get the blue sticks, or the big sticks, and I use a Ryobi glue gun. Started out with this mainly because it's cordless. This gets very, very, very hot though. And the one thing I would change about it if I could is adjustable temperature. But basically the way I adjust the temperature is when it starts getting too hot, I just turn it off. And then when it starts to cool down too much, I turn it back on. So I kind of created my own system of doing that. But Aztec glue, I literally have tried, like I've glued something in the wrong place and tried to pull it back off after it's dried and am not able to even pull it apart. So that is the reason I say if you're gluing things, use Aztec glue. Other people will probably tell you Gorilla Glue. And any other glue, I wouldn't even try it. Oh, thank you, Shannon. I love teaching. Even in college and stuff, I was always like a tutor and stuff. In law school, I was a Dean Study Fellow where I would teach other students who were maybe having trouble in some of the classes. So I've always loved teaching. Aha, Shannon used Gorilla Glue. Okay, and Shannon has no problems. So that's why I always mention Gorilla Glue, even though I haven't personally used it. I know a lot of crafters do, and I've only heard great things about it. So if you're wanting to try that, if that's easier for you to get, by all means. Okay, so this was the little piece I was talking about, this little silver piece. If you wanted, you could feed a wire through here. I don't think the pine needle itself would fit through this hole, but you could feed a wire through and attach to that way. I prefer my glue because, like I said, I can try, once this sets up, I can literally try to pull it off and it's not going to come off. So I take these off because I don't want to glue this on and then have this come detached from this and still lose my ornament even though I used really good glue. So I'm going to take these off. And then, actually, I've already removed the white one. We've only got 3 spots here, guys. So on my mailbox swag, what I did was I use a white ornament. You can use any kind of white ornament. This one has like snow embossed snowflakes on it. And then I use either a solid red or a red and white to go with the candy cane pattern on this end. And then in the middle, I use a white poinsettia. I might use, I think the poinsettias I used before were bigger, so I'm going to put 2. I'm going to use 2 poinsettias. Okay, and then once we get these glued in, which my glue gun is already hot, the Ryobi does heat very quickly. Once we get these glued in, we'll go ahead and work on our bow. Which this is a pretty simple bow, easy formula. I just said you don't need formulas. Now I'm saying it's an easy formula. For bows, formulas make it easier, in my opinion. But when it comes to your design like this, if you did 11 inches, it's still going to be beautiful. If you did 13 inches, still going to be beautiful. You don't want to go too short. You know, I wouldn't go... I actually started out making wreaths with 10-inch ribbon and decided that was too short for me. So, but I had to learn on my own. Other people said, oh, cut them to 10 inches. And I was poor. I was a poor crafter. So I was trying to get as much as I could out of my 10-yard roll. And I would cut them to 10 inches and then I wouldn't like my design as much. So I just settled on 12. But I did that on my own after experimenting. This right here is why we push those down too, because now we can press these down and they're sitting down inside of our design. So it kind of like becomes part of our design. If we left those raised up, then our ornaments would be sticking up way too high. And I am using liberal amounts of glue. I always do. And with the poinsettia, I'm going to go around the middle, around that stem, and then also around this edge that is going to then attach to these ribbons over here. And of course, I will always stick my finger in the hot glue, because what's a craft when you don't burn yourself? I should definitely probably have used my finger protectors for this. So anybody watching this video and making this, wear your finger protectors. They sell them at the Dollar Tree. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. And then you can just, well, I better let it dry before I arch it. But you can just arch it downward over your mailbox. Or on my Facebook page, I have a picture of the design that I was going to make tonight. And I actually had a mailbox at my old residence where it was, you know, I lived in town in a suburb. So it was on my wall of my house. And I have a photo on my Facebook that shows a way to display it on those mailboxes as well, which is what I used to do. Now I am in the country and I have the regular mailbox down at the end of the road. Okay, so I think those are all set up. I'm just going to slide this over and grab the bow maker. Using the EM's Bow and Go, I also have an Easy Bow Maker. Both of them work well for me, but that's because I only really use these 2 stems and the measurements. So I have a Pro Bow. I've never even tried to set it up. Just full confession. Okay. Okay, so we are going to use both of our ribbons. We're going to use some of the candy cane and some of the red velvet. First thing we're going to do is get our candy cane. And we're going to measure, I do 12-inch bows on each side because I really like big bows on these. You could make your bows smaller depending on what you're using it for. Like if you're putting it on a windowsill, that big bow might not be ideal. You might want to use a smaller bow or something different on the end. But for mailboxes where they fold down over, those big bows hanging down on each side are really pretty. Also for your garlands around your doors, the big bows are very pretty. So I'm going to do about 12 inches. This is 11 inches from the middle to the end of the bow maker, so I just went about an inch past that. And then I'm going to pinch right where my measurement is and then twist in the middle. Okay, so now I have the pretty side of my ribbon down for my tail, and then the not so pretty or underneath side of the ribbon is facing up over here. And that is so when I make my loop, they make me clumsy too, Shannon. I guess I just prefer to burn myself. They're awkward. Yeah, I guess you could get used to them if you used them enough. That's the problem though, I don't use them enough. Okay, and then I'm gonna do 6-inch loops on each side because I want a 12-inch long bow and a 12-inch wide bow. Okay, so my tail is 12 inches. My loop is going to be 6 because I'm going to have one on each side, which will give me my total of 12. Twist in the middle so you have the underneath side up over here again. Okay, and we're just going to loop back at 6 inches. Twist in the middle again. And then I like to make sure as I make each loop, I'm really picky with my ribbon, you guys. I feel like ribbon is what is all the design is about, is the ribbon. Right here, I try to make sure each of my loops stay arched. That being that the wired edge is down on each side, giving me this like bubble type look to my loops, okay? Now, we're gonna do 2 of these on each side. And I'm going to do them all at 6 inches. So, and each time I come back, I'm twisting in the middle so that we keep the right side on the outside of our loops. We want to make sure that pretty side is always showing. Oh, oops, sorry. Okay, so when you do your last loop, which we're going to do 4, 2 on each side to begin with, you don't want to twist. Because you're going to bring this down and make your second tail. Okay, I want it to be the same as this one. So I'm just going to pull that down and measure. Cut this across, and we'll dovetail our ends after we get our bow put together. Okay, now I'm going to use some of this red. Now I want this tail on what I call, I guess, my second layer of my bow to be 11 inches. So 1 inch shorter so that this bottom layer will show behind this layer. Okay, so it's about 1 inch shorter. And we're going to do the same exact thing with this ribbon, only I'm going to come in 1 inch. So I'm going to be making these loops about 5 inches. And my numbers are covered up here, so I can't really see the numbers on my bow maker. So the way that I calculate it is about 1 finger width wide. That may be only a 1/2 inch. I don't know, I'm saying an inch, but you could do anywhere from a 1/2 inch to an inch, just so that it's in and you can see these loops behind. Twist in the middle again. Getting the underneath side up over here. Make sure my wired edges are the way I want them. and then loop it back. And we're only going to do one loop of this bright red, velvet red. Okay, so right about there, and then just pull it down. I'm pressing this down in the middle because I want to make sure that doesn't come undone. And so that is our second layer. Now on this bow, we have one more final step. And for that, I'm going to make just one small loop here in the middle with a tail coming down in the middle. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to take this long piece and I think I measured this last year to try to calculate. I think I do about 4 inches, I think it was. Yeah, 4 inches, because that's 11 to 7 is 4 inches. Okay, so fold this in 4 inches and you're just making a loop. Okay, then you're gonna just scrunch right up about a 1/2 inch or so in from where the end of the ribbon there is, and turn it over. You're going to take that piece, making sure that you have both ends fed through on this side, and just lay it straight down in there. Okay. Make sure you have enough over on this side to grab that underneath piece though. Okay. Now, I forgot to grab my pipe cleaners, which are right behind me. So I'm going to lay my scissors here to hold this, and then I'm going to grab them and show you how to finish that up. And then we'll make one more. Okay, here we go. Okay, so move my scissors. This tail needs to be pulled down, and I'm going to cut it off at about the same length as my shorter red ones. But I'm probably going to go ahead and get my pipe cleaner fed through, and then I'll cut it off. Okay, so take your pipe cleaner, put it through diagonally, and then make sure that you're wrapping it around so that it's going to come underneath the top and the bottom of all of your layers. I use my 4 fingers. I use my thumb on top to hold this side in place and my 4 fingers to lift all these ribbons. And then I do the same thing over here, using my thumb up here and my 4 fingers underneath to pull it out so nothing slips, moves away, or gets messed up. Then I just pull my pipe cleaner to the back while I'm still holding with the one thumb and pull those. And then I pull my loops forward and twist. And when you twist your pipe cleaner, don't twist back. Don't twist it loosely so that you're twisting backwards. Make sure that you're twisting tight in towards your bow. So that way you're tightening around the ribbons. Oh, hi Guadalupe, how are you? I'm so glad you caught me live. Okay. So now that I've sufficiently messed it all up, now we need to fluff the bow. And these, Shannon had asked earlier about attaching the bow. These pipe cleaners are what we're going to use to attach to our mailbox swag, which I'll show you here in a little bit. First, I'm going to do my dovetailed ends and trim this piece off. So I just want to take each of the, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ends and trim them off. And you could just do this little small center loop without this extra tail. I actually do bows both ways. Again, just depending on my mood. There's no other rhyme or reason. Just depends on, I guess, how frilly maybe you want it to look. I like lots of tails on these mailbox swags and the garlands. So that's why I do that extra center tail. Okay, so you just want to take the center loop and just kind of open it up, fold it over, open it up. Make sure you pull your tails down and position them where you want. Okay, and then we have 2 loops in the back, so we're going to open those up. And we want our red loop right in the middle of our 2 candy cane loops. So just like that. Same thing on this side. Now this is going to get messed up again, and you'll have to, you know, when you hang it or display it, you'll have to readjust it. But, I mean, that's just like packing your Christmas decorations away and then pulling them out again each year, right? We always have to adjust and fix things. Okay, so there is what our pretty bow looks like. And then to attach that to our mailbox swag, right here above the curl, remember I said this curl was going to give extra life to our bow? I'm going to wrap the 2 pipe cleaners on the back of our bow right around the garland at the top here of the curl. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Shannon. Okay, and I'll even turn this over to show you guys what I'm doing on the back side here. Okay, so this is what our back looks like. And here is my curl. Right here are my 2 pipe cleaners, or yeah, pipe cleaners, chenille stems. I'm going to just pull tight and twist. And I keep pulling tight and twist this a bunch of times. And that is how I secure it on. And then I do not cut this off. Instead, after I tighten it down good, I just twist it around each other and then wrap it back up around this wire in the middle of the garland, so that I don't have any ends sticking out. I don't cut it off because I want it to be, I think wrapping it around like this keeps it more secure. Okay, so, and that is it. And all we have to do now, guys, is one more really pretty bow like that on the other end. And we have a box swag that we can now like arch. I'm trying to show you all within the screen. I wish I could have changed the screen. Arch it around our mailbox and have our big bows hanging down on each side with all of our pretty decorations across the top of our and the side of our mailbox. Okay, so let's do one more bow real quick. I got all these little pieces of ribbon. Okay, I'm a mess. Okay. All right, I think we have enough ribbon here. I actually forgot I wasn't supposed to use these. I was supposed to use the roll to make the bow. So let's roll out a bunch of ribbon here. Okay, and one more time, remember we're doing 12-inch tall by 12-inch wide bow. So we want our first tail to be 12 inches. I'm going to go a little faster this time. I did slow and very detailed the first time, so for those of you who have hung with me this whole time, we'll speed it up a little. Okay, and then we're going to make our first loop at 6 inches, twist it in the middle. Another loop at 6 inches. Twist in the middle. I didn't mention this before, my first 2 loops I kind of make diagonal up and down, and then my next 2 loops will be the opposite. So about 6 inches, twist. Now this last one, because we're doing 2 on each side, we're not going to twist. We're just going to bring our tail straight down. trim it off. Okay, and now we need to do one loop of the red velvet. The tail on the red, I make 1 inch shorter, so I do 11 inches. Do between 5 inches and 5.5 inches for each loop, just so that it's a little bit smaller than your 2 back loops. I would say I probably am doing closer to 5.5 inches. But either anywhere within those measurements is going to be fine. Okay, loop it back and do one more loop. We don't need to twist in the middle because we're just going to bring our tail down. Okay, and then we need to do one middle loop and one more tail with the candy cane ribbon. And I am just going to go ahead and use this small piece for this part. So remember, I made the loop at 4 inches. And then you're just going to scrunch down and pinch that together, making sure that this end piece is fed through here enough that you can get it caught with your pipe cleaner when you tie it. And then pull your center tail down. I like to kind of get my loops and tails and everything going in the direction I want them to be in my final bow before I tie. Not everybody does that. That's just a preference I developed when I was learning to make bows. Okay, so again, use all 4 fingers underneath on each side, your thumbs on top to keep the stack together. Pull your pipe cleaners to the back. Pull it really tight. To help me get mine tight, I even pull my loops forward. I twist in towards the ribbon. Okay. If your ribbon is wrinkled or crinkled or not laying right, you can take your fingers like this and just run the ribbon through it. And most ribbon types will straighten out and do this natural little curl thing. That's a trick that I use often when making bows. I'm just going to lay this out here so I can trim this off at the right size. Don't forget to dovetail your ends. Spread out your back loops and fluff out your middle loop so that it lays in between the 2 back loops. And there we go, is our very pretty candy cane bow. Except I didn't fix this tail right. Sometimes you've got to really pull and tug on them to get them to go and lay and stay where you want them to. I also didn't fix the center loop. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay, so all we have to do to finish up now is attach it to our other end the same way that we did the other. Use our pipe cleaner. I don't know how I got that twisted down so far. There we go. Wrap it around, twist it, pull tight. Remember to pull tight and twist at the same time you're pulling so it is tight. And see what I mean about messing up the bow? I've already flattened all the loops, so when you put it out on display, you're going to have to fluff those back up. And then I'm just going to wrap the end up underneath around the wire on the garland. And we are all done, you guys. I will, I have a picture of one that I had made previously. I posted on my page today. I can take a picture of this one too and post tomorrow. I like to do my photos in natural daylight, so I'll wait until daytime. Okay, does anybody have any questions? I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching. You guys watch for the Nightmare Before Christmas tutorial. It's going to be Halloween theme. I have a plush jack that's about 12 inches tall that I'm going to make a swag using a Dollar Tree Christmas tree. Dollar Tree Christmas tree. And have Jack sitting on top of an orange pumpkin. So we'll see how that turns out. But that tutorial will be coming this week for sure, since I didn't get to do that tonight. Alrighty, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If nobody has any questions, I guess I will let you go and sign off. Have a good night.